Welcome to another episode of Our Love Sport Talk with Joe's Kwame Fisher Jones. As always, I'm him, and I'm talking NFL, so that means I'm joined by my man Chris Franklin of NJ.com. We got a little late start today, Chris, but we're back in the fold. Now, you said that you didn't get a lot of snow, but you just got freezing rain.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, it's about 60 degrees out here. It's cloudy, though. It's cloudy, so I know that makes you feel better, but it's cloudy. I say that when we're on there. So we want to get started this week. We got 2 weeks left in the season. Not much going on, kind of the usual T falls, teams tanking, sending players home, players excluding injuries. But a couple of things caught my eye this week. And one of them, I'm not a I told you so guy. I'm not a I'm right guy. No, I'm not. I'm not.
True,
Because
true.
I kind of expect to be right more than I expect, more than I. So when I'm wrong, I'm genuinely surprised. When I'm right, and one of the things that we talked about 15 weeks ago, one of the teams that I felt was not going to be a playoff contending team were the Detroit Lions. And you were like, oh, I don't know. They're going to be all right. Most people thought, I think some people even had them going to the Super Bowl. Some people had the Bucks going to the Super Bowl. But I felt like the Lions going into the season was not a team that, they were 12-5, 15-2. But I didn't think they were 12-5, 15-2 team. I didn't think they had a franchise quarterback off, solid quarterback, not great. I didn't think that they had any playmakers on the defensive side of the ball. I just felt like they played in a division that had struggled, and the division would be better. So blah 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 blah. Long story short, the Lions are 8-8. No, yeah, 8-7, right? But they have been eliminated from playoff contention. And my question for you is: are we shocked that the Lions didn't make the playoffs? Are we shocked at the Lions' problems, or are you more like me, like kind of saw it coming when the season started?
I'm still shocked. I really am because I didn't think the defense was going to be as good as expected because they still seem to have the same problems. If I'm their medical staff, I'm worried about my job because they seemingly always getting hurt. There's so many injuries on that staff. But offensively, I look at the weapons that they have and David Montgomery, Jameer Gibbs. Jameson was what the problem I think they had was when Josh Morton was stripped of the play calling duties and gave to Dan Campbell. Then you look at Dan Campbell, and at first it looked like, okay, he's figured it out. He's getting Jameson Williams more involved in the offense, taking the shot down the field. But in some way along the way, it seems like they forgot the running game, the two-headed running game that they had so much success with in the previous years, even with Ben Johnson. And now we got to the point where it was ineffective. It became a one-trick pony. It was everything to Amon-Ra St. Brown and Tesla, the tight end. And like, okay, he got mixed in here and there. And you're looking at it, it's like, this isn't Detroit. This isn't the style that Detroit Lions should be playing. And we knew that Ben Johnson's absence when he went to become the head coach in Chicago Bears was going to be it's going to impact it. It wouldn't be as effective as this one. But I certainly thought that if Dan Campbell took it, he'd get the offense to be more of his mold, play more of the play action, use that run game, control the clock because you know your defense can't stop anybody for the better part unless they're playing a below 500 team. Why not just continue to run the clock control, play ball control, and get your wins that way? So too many offensive weapons they had too many offensive weapons. They didn't replace them with the right people, assistant wise. And even then, I still thought that they could really sneak in and be a 6 or 7. I'm not going to do simple, but a 6 or 7 seed. It baffles me that they were at this point.
Yeah. So all right. So last year they were 15-2, and everyone thought they were the cat's meow, pun intended. But I want to. The reason why I bring this up is this: a lot of their wins came from a division that basically struggled. You want to go back to the first year when they kind of turned the corner, not last year, not the year, but when the first 3 seasons ago, 4 seasons ago, they were 9-8. In their division, you had the Packers at 8-9 and the Bears at 3-14. That was the year they turned the corner at 9-8. So then you go to the next season, and that's their turning block. That's their 12-5 year. 12-5 was what they were in the division. 7-10, 7-10, 9-8 was their division. Was with the Packers, the Lions, and the Packers, the Vikings, and the Bears record. Then the following season, when they're 15-2, right? You look at their division again. Actually, they had a pretty. So I sit corrected. They're 14-3, 11-6, 5-12. So I guess my point is that last year that doesn't help my argument much there. But you still had the 5-12 team. And when you have a 5-12 team, that gives you 2 wins for the season. So if you're a good football team and you're already starting out with 2 wins, and the year before they got three because you had two bad teams in the division, so you got 4 wins. Basically, a threshold. It's kind of what the gift the Eagles, the Andy Reid Eagles, got every year. We knew the Cowboys at that time, the Redskins and the Giants would be awful. So no matter what, they would get 5 wins. As long as they could be focused and show up and get off the bus, they were getting 5 wins. So they're starting, and you look at what they are this year. You look at the struggles this year. They're the worst team in their division at 8-8. So you've got a good division. When you have a good division, if you're not great, you're just gonna, you're gonna struggle for those wins. And that's what I saw. Everything you said made sense, but when you look at their defense statistically ranks in the same position it ranked in when they were 12-5. They were immediate mid-range defense. Last season they were 20th, I want to say, in points overall. So seventh in points, 20th in yards. So they weren't a dominant defense last year. Yes, they had injuries, but they weren't a dominant defensive last year. I feel like Goff is a mid. I was about to call him the white Shador Sanders. I feel like Goff is a solid NFL quarterback. You're not going to win much with him. You're not going to lose much with him. He'll keep you around. He'll keep you in the fold. But that's what I say. So the going forward or next season, is it safe to say Dan Campbell may be on the hot seat?
No, I think he's entrenched unless they go something like 4-13 or 5-12, then I think he's on the hot seat. But I think when you look at the history of what the Lions have had to endure, the, this is the best streak they've been on in a very, very long time. We're looking back to the Barry Sanders, Scott Mitchell, Herman Moore days, where they're really starting to do that. So I think the ownership there with the Fords, they understand it's tough to find a good leader. It's to understand it's tough the guy to expect this guy has in the locker room and communication because they're still playing hard no matter what. And I think that's a big indicator, even though Dave Montgomery might be hinting that he wants to trade it. Yeah. But
Interesting.
that's why I put him more on the OC and then eventually Campbell. But I think overall, when you look at the way that he's wanting, unless there's a significant regression even further, I think that's Campbell's job for the next 2-3. He's their version of Andy Reid. Probably the best. He's probably the best coach they've had. I mean, Wayne Fontenot. Wayne Fonts was there for a while, and even then,
Yeah.
he can make no thing. But
And they
that's
fired
sad.
Wayne Fonts. I want to say they fired Wayne Fonts after a playoff season.
Yep. I just don't know who it's. I think right now for what they have, if it starts to get stale in his messaging, if they start to quit on him, if they really do that, that offense starts to go back, and golf is like who's usually the most milk toast of quotes and just what if he starts to go, well, then I think you lose that entire thing. He's no position to talk either.
Well, it's funny that we open the show up going two separate paths. I think he will be on the hot seat next year, and I'm going to tell you why. They underachieved in the playoffs last season. They didn't make a title game last year. They were unceremoniously evicted from the playoffs, and it was surprising much. Somebody said it was a shock. Then they come back the next year and they lay an egg. To most, expectations probably were better. The Lions, I know the Bears and Packers are rivals. I don't think the Lions have a rival in that division. But if you watch the Vikings, you watch the Packers, and quite possibly Bears fight for playoff contention next year, and you go another season without making the playoffs. So now when you were 15-2, didn't matter the diddly poo because you didn't reach anything. Then the next year you're at 8-8, 9-8, whatever they finish up, or 8-9, 9-8. And then the following year you're, let's say, 7-10. I think Dan Campbell's on the hot seat. I think there'll be another young, make America great again offensive coordinator out there that'll be available for everybody. That'll get everybody going. Or they might even try to make a play for no, I'll stick with that. They're gonna go with the new hot young coach out there. The next Sean McVay, if you will. Another one that'll be called to, it will be bringing down to the front of the congregation very soon. But yeah, I think he's done. I think they're gonna. Goff will. It's been midnight for Goff since he's been drafted. Goff will struggle next year. I believe the Lions, Caleb, will find a way to. I think the Lions are going to be around for a while. The Vikings, there's no reason to believe that the Vikings won't rebound and be a mid level, been a 8 to 11 win team. So now we're just looking at the Packers and Love. Go ahead, floor is yours.
I don't know. I look at the Vikings for next year. If Flores does get a head coaching gig somewhere, I don't know if they're. I know Kevin O'Connell's a good scheme. He can scheme things well. He's a good offensive coordinator. He is. He's a good play caller. I'm not sold on JJ McCarthy still. I'm still not sold on him. You look at the run game, Aaron Jones is still banged up here and there. Justin Jefferson's gonna be mad. And you see the downturn that Justin Jefferson's had with JJ McCarthy. JJ McCarthy's doing a gritty all of a sudden now, and that's supposed to be
Yeah.
touchdown dances for Justin Jefferson. He's not even getting opportunities as much because Addison's not playing as well too. So the biggest thing for the Vikings for them, I think, and I think the Lions are rooting for this, get Brian Flores out and be a head coach somewhere else out that division. That's the best shot. And I think, especially with the way that this cycles look like it's turning because there's no Ben Johnson this year, I think there's a legitimate shot he gets and not just the Rooney Rule interviews. I think he might be one of those guys to get second interviews elsewhere. And so if that
Yeah,
happens, and then maybe they'll slot higher.
we disagree with that. I don't think Flores is going to get another shot at head coaching. So I hope I'm wrong, but I just can't see. You can forgive, but you can't forget. And everything that they went through after they were able to excommunicate the ghost of Colin Kaepernick, Brian Flores brought right back. And had it not been for the Rooneys in Pittsburgh, and maybe they move on from Tomlin, and maybe they give Flores a shot there. But had it not been for them bringing Flores back and allowing him to work with their organization, I don't think he's in the NFL. I don't think he's in the NFL. So look, we're that's one things we'll wait to see. But I don't believe he gets a shot. I think that's going to be his home, Minnesota, and he should be happy with that. He'll pay a handsome salary doing what he loves. He'll be able to revamp a defense every year. And Minnesota, you're questioning McCarthy. My point is this: McCarthy's good enough to give you 5 yards in a cloud of smoke. Now back in the day, it was 4 yards in a cloud of dust. I'll say 5 yards in a cloud of smoke now. As long as that defense is a top tier defense, you'll be in the game. If McCarthy mess around and have a good season, now you're looking at a 14, 15 win. You're looking at a 13, 14 win team. If he mess around and have a bad season, looking at an 8 or 9 win team. That's good enough in Minnesota. I don't think Flores gets anywhere. And that's another reason why I think that it is midnight for Goff. Like it's over. It's a wrap. It's a Rizzy. And now you throw Campbell in the knee biting and everything that all those things he starts to become a caricature of himself. He starts becoming a Bill Cowher knockoff. And it's interesting because when it's all said and done, the horses leave the barn and smoke clears. The Lions, you mentioned they had a good stretch. They had a really good regular season stretch. And no fans should be happy with that. They should take that and be happy. Expectations always breed disappointment. Always breed disappointment. I give the final word on the segment to you.
Yeah, you're right. And thank you very much for having Bill Cowher entrenched in my mind now. Every time I look at him now all of a sudden I see when I see Zapplebee's commercial now, Dan Campbell now, I'm almost wait for the most all that stuff there. So thank you
Exactly.
very much for that. Thank you
Exactly.
very much. This was mine. But yeah, it's Detroit, I don't know. And even then I don't know where they go from there. Like you mentioned golf and you're right. Because it's hard to believe, but yeah, he was with that class with wins.
Yep.
And 16, he's getting that 9, 10, the ninth and 10th season now. He maybe got a few things. He's not going to throw the long ball as much, but with the state of quarterback play, I think he gives you a chance. I think, and that's what I think this was first. I think he'll still be all right. He really is. It's when he has his dumb moment games where you're like, what are you doing throwing that in the double coverage? You're not that anymore. I think he'll start to realize that as he starts to age, he needs to become like I hate to say it, like what Aaron Rodgers become. Read the defense, know where it is, get the ball out quickly, and just move the ball. Be an elite game manager that can make the play here or there. That's what he needs to focus on. I still think you can still do well with that with all those weapons they have in Detroit. So it's going to be a matter of offseason being a lot of adjustments in his thinking.
Help me out with that. I know we got to move away. What the hell is an elite game manager?
Oh,
Break that down for me.
all the greats, even the great quarterbacks are game managers in the sense that you look at the down distance, you look at the way that the situation, you just get the ball out to your guys and let them make plays afterwards. There are times when you have to, like the Lamar Jacksons, which is a bad week to do this because he's that. Thank you for my fantasy team, but it's a bad week to bring Lamar Jackson, everybody else, and the other elite quarterbacks when they run around, scramble, and then pick up first downs or run around, throw the ball deep, and they Josh Allen, stuff that guys. They all can manage the game, but you're looking at they're able to make those plays later on. Like if you're an elite game manager, there's nothing wrong with that. You can manage the game like Drew Brees. To me, he was an ultimate game manager where he wasn't going to scramble. It was going to be 3, 5 steps, 7 steps, and the ball's going to be out. And then he's giving it to Joe. He's letting his receivers just run up and do their thing. So I look at golf and saying he's not going to run around and get you 20, 30 yards rushing the ball. But if he's able to go to 3 to 5 step drop, hits Jameson Williams in stride and let Jameson Williams get 40 yards. 40 yards is 40 yards. It still adds up, it looks into his passing yardage, and then it still winds up being 40 yards for receiver. It still looks supposed to play. It just looks different. So if you just get the ball out on time, don't make the dumb mistakes, that's game managing. And there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Okay. Yeah, I don't see Goff as that elite game manager. I just see him as a game manager. But anyway, it's good to go back and revisit things that at the time seemed far fetched and managed to come to fruition. Another thing that seemed far fetched that has come to fruition, you and I were on one accord with this one. We both believe the San Francisco 49ers would be a good football team this year. We both agreed they would be in the playoffs. I said second round exit. You said wild card, but we both agreed they would be in the playoffs. They'd be a good football team. Well, fast forward, here we are, week 15, the 49ers, the Seattle Seahawks, which is a surprise to many, 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 many men, and the Los Angeles Rams are all stuck in a I guess, three-way car jam. I don't know how to phrase it. We're on the division for the NFC West. Now, the 49ers and Seabirds play each other, while the Rams don't. The Rams walk out with a gimme with the Arizona Cardinals. However, I would not give this division to the Rams. But before I give my opinion or my prognostication of what's going to happen, who do you see winning the NFC West?
I think it's going to have to be the San Francisco 49ers. I just look at the schedule
We agree.
and yeah, it's crazy because and it's funny because I remember we were talking. It's like we looked at their schedule. It's like, yeah, they can actually have a legit shot at winning division, and it's the way everything folded. They're looking at one. Now it becomes down to you look at the remaining schedule, and Seattle, in my opinion, has the better defense than the 49ers. 49ers have the better offense than that one. They're both the quarterbacks I put them on the same level, Purdy and Darnold. They can look good at times, and then you look like, what are they doing at times? So I like those. The difference, I think, is going to be that the Niners have their last 2 games on the road. I mean, at home, at home facing the Bears, which the Bears are a completely different team on the road. Even though they've shown they can win on the road, they're completely different. And I think that you look at Caleb Williams in Santa Clara, I trust the 49ers at home in that one. And then you have that head-to-head matchup against the Seahawks at home, which and not only do you have the home game, you have Sam Darnold in a pressure situation. I like those odds very much. If I'm a 49ers fan, I'm sitting there going like, wait, Darnold's coming to us? And Darnold's going to have to play in a big game? That's shaping up to be like the last game of the season for the
and he's coming outside.
Yep.
And while it's not, it's not the inclement weather that you got back home, it's windy, it's cold, it's outside, and it's football. Those aren't good things for Darnold. They're not. You say what you want to say, they're not. I actually like the 49ers also, but I just think they're the better team. Like, I think they've been the better team. They sustained a lot of changing of the guards, also known as injuries. But regular season, they are a strong football team. They've been as long as Kyle Shanahan's been the coach. The Seahawks are a surprise. Like, they're shocked. We're shocked they're this good. Not that we don't believe it, not that we do believe it, but we're shocked. Like, what? That's not so. They're going up against a team that we were like, yeah. When the schedule came out, you looked at the rosters, you looked at the coaching, you look at the history, the pedigree. Yeah, the 49ers going to be all right this year. At no point did we think the Seahawks. In fact, when we did the show, I'm pretty sure it was Seahawks versus Colts who would have a better record. Who knew? Who knew? Like when you see that, who knew that they would, But anyway, I tell you, just going back to the point. I I believe the 49ers are going to win this division, but I'm going to devote some energy to the Rams and why I believe the Rams won't win the division. The Rams have the easier record of the two. They play the Cardinals. They end the season with the Cardinals, but they travel to Atlanta. Now, Atlanta's been a disappointing football team. I picked Atlanta to be a good football team. They were not. I think Atlanta's 6-9. We can look that up for me. I believe Atlanta's 6-9. I'm going to Atlanta this late in the year. Just think could be a trap game. And they may not lose. They could lose something that game. Somebody gets hurt, an injury that doesn't report it. Somebody with confidence, a schism is created. It feels like Atlanta's gonna be the death of them this year. And then they finish up with the Cardinals at home against the Cardinals. The Cardinals have already left the building. I don't think anybody that's on that team is now still living in Arizona. I think they all have moved to their respective homes, cities, and are just flying in for the games. I think they all are meeting in Los Angeles for that game and going their separate ways afterwards. So they should win that game handily, but I just think Atlanta's a trap game for them. I think I'm going to say they lose that game. I'm going to say they lose at Atlanta. Go ahead, floor's yours.
I can see that because the way you look at the amount of like there's certain teams that play well against tight ends, certain teams that kind of against tight ends. To me, the Rams are one of those teams. They're in the middle of the pack, but they've given up 6 touchdowns to tight ends. And the reason why I bring that up is
Yeah,
Kyle Pitts is playing some of the best
finally.
position, and I've written them all.
Yeah,
I wrote them all, and I'm wondering if this is one of the things where he realizes he's in a contract here. He's playing out of his mind and didn't be worried about the regression. He's playing back to what you saw beforehand. But he's become that type of player where you start to see him being dominant. And the Rams defense, once you get past that defensive line, they can be susceptible to be attacking that second and third level. So it's one of those games. I can see that, and then depending on the defense, the way which Atlanta defense shows up, you have that, and then you have the other factor of Raheem Morris is coaching for his job. I think the jury's still out, but I think he's still coaching for his job. Because we talk about teams that are underachieving, they've underachieved, so he needs to prove a point that his team, he still has his team, he can still lead his team and come back for the following season. So I look at all that. It's a bad situation for the Rams to come up into that. And overall, I don't. It's just an overall bad
yeah, it's
spot
a
for
bad
them.
spot. It's a bad spot because you're playing with, it's I'm an old video game player. Nobody was harder to beat in the video game era than the guy that just pressed buttons. Because you couldn't figure out what the hell he was on. He's just on the sticks, just pressing all sorts of buttons. And he would land that punch or get that pass. And that's what Atlanta is right now. They're just a guy just pushing buttons on the video game. And it's a bad spot for the Rams. Now the Rams can come out and control the game and walk out with a win, but that's why I said that they could win and still lose in the sense that something could go wrong in that game that's going to derail them going forward. Conversely, the 49ers are playing, like, everything's going the way they've planned it to be. Minus the injuries, it's the way they projected their season to go, the way they projected the games to go, the way they've scouted, all of those things are consistent throughout the season. I got no reason to believe it won't now. No reason to believe it won't now. And in the division where the Seahawks win at 12-3, and you got the 49ers at 11-4, and you got the Rams at 11-4. Yeah, 49ers went out, they win the division. They've got the best thing going for them as far as the games being home, and they've got the two solid opponents that are going to keep them playoff sharp. I like the 49ers to win the division. I do. I like them so much, I'll be surprised. I'll be shocked if they lose. Now, the lone hanging Chad in this division, the team that just can't seem to get right, 3-12 Arizona Cardinals. From all corners, all walks of the world, it seems that Kyler Murray is out of here. So it's not a matter of if, but when. My question for you is my astute football mind. Where does he land? Because I got two teams that I think he's going to land on one of those two. I'm curious where you're going to go. Where does Kyler Murray play next season?
See, I thought there were three teams I really thought. I thought the Jets, the Dolphins, and the Raiders were the three teams I was really thinking, okay, they make sense. Miami, for what, even though the salary cap's going to go, that's still a lot of money. You can even put a try trade to it. And I want you, that's still a lot of money to eat. I think they'd bite the bullet, maybe wait after June 1st to trade them. I don't know who's going to take them. You're getting pennies to a dollar back for what you get. So they're out. Looking at the Raiders and the Jets, I don't think with Tom Brady, you know Tom Brady's influence on that franchise. I don't think Kyler Murray's his type of quarterback with all the Call of Duty
Yeah.
stuff, with all the other stuff. So it leaves me to Jets. And this will be the ultimate Jets type move to trade for Kyler Murray, knowing that they need a quarterback. Because he might be, as funny as it may sound, you look at him, he might be the best trade target quarterback wise that's coming out there. It's big. The draft is not reliable at all this year. It's weak. And if you like Aaron Glenn, he's only back. He's going to be back. What I
You got to
understand.
bring him back, yeah.
So you need somebody to lead that offense. Justin Fields, you missed for that. You need a bona fide person because now all of a sudden, if you add Kyler Murray to Garrett Wilson on the outside to play with Adonai Mitchell if he catches the ball, which is a big if now, and John Mechie, all of a sudden that Jets offense, if you can somehow convince, if you bring Kyler Murray back, you might be able to convince Brees Hall, hey, stay one more year or sign a long-term deal. Look at what we can do. We got this. He's the one I think that's the best situation for him to have. Jets have some capital. I think they have the draft. Now they think they have the cap space too. So I look at that. They're going to be desperate. Both Glenn's going to be desperate to have a guy. I think he goes to Jets.
We started out going different ways. We're going to end going different ways. I agree with you. The Jets are a possibility, but I think there's an outside shot at a team, and this team is still in playoff contention this year. They've had a revolving door quarterback, but their division is one that can be had if they had a solid young quarterback. That team is the Pittsburgh Steelers. And you talked about him not being Tom Brady's type quarterback. Well, I can see that because Brady played the position, but you know who's not Brady's type quarterback? Everyone else that's on the Raiders right now. So, but I don't think the Raiders make that move. I think they go young in the draft and bring Geno back. I really, really, really think Aaron Rodgers will retire this year. I think more than anything because there won't be any suitors. And Pittsburgh has a chance. They don't want to go young in quarterback. They're 9-6 right now. They'll make the playoffs. They'll lose in the first round, maybe get an injury and sink into the second round. But they ain't got no future with Rodgers. Maybe with Kyler. Maybe he gets under Tomlin and he falls in line and becomes more of a dedicated professional. Maybe he goes to Pittsburgh and the small market team and the small market family feel is something that takes to him and pushes him to another stratosphere as a professional. Maybe the Steelers' discipline, the history, the pedigree of the organization gets them together. Maybe it's Kyler and it goes there and takes up the joint next 2 years. Either way, the good far outweighs the possibility. What is it? The ceiling is higher than the floor. If that makes sense to anybody out there, we've all heard that phrase. I'm going to use it because it makes sense to me. The ceiling is higher than the floor. There is a chance Kyler Murray goes to Pittsburgh and gets right. There's a chance the Pittsburgh Steelers, their history, their tradition, the lineage of quarterback play, you scrappy guys, Ben Roethlisberger's and Cordell Stewart's and the Terry Bradshaws, they get him, the ghosts of those guys, get Rocky Bryant, get behind him, and they get him to play well. And then there's a chance that he goes there and he finds a video game streaming platform and does what he does there. It could go either way. But my point is, it's going to go. And it makes sense in Pittsburgh. The Dolphins make sense too, but I think that ship needs to sink a little bit more before they clean house completely. And I'm talking about not just I'm not talking about Tyreek Hill cleaning. I'm talking about general manager. I'm talking about head coach. I'm talking about possible owner. I'm talking about all of those things go there. The Jets are a possibility, but I think Kyler takes less money to go to Pittsburgh. And I think that would be the deciding factor. Because anywhere he goes, his contract's got to be done, right? And I think he takes less money in incentive-laden contract in Pittsburgh. They've got a DK Metcalf who should still be there if the NFL doesn't ban him for life. And they got a coach that can talk that talk. And he can talk that talk. It's like that scene in the airplane. Stewardess, I speak jive. He can talk that talk. So he'll get, if anybody can reach him, it'll be Tomlin. If he wants to have a career, he goes to Pittsburgh. If he wants to make a lot of money and date a lot of pretty women, he goes to New York. Floor is yours.
See, the other one that I was thinking about as well. So you brought some really good points. It jogged my mind, and I wouldn't be surprised, especially with their cap situation. If Daniel Jones somehow gets paid stupid money by another team, the Colts are completely outbid by another team, which we've seen teams get desperate. No, you know who has a lot of salary cap room? The Raiders. Right now they got $104 million in cap room that they can use. And as desperate as they are, we know that they can throw some stupid money around. They seem like
but I don't
trying to
think
do
he
that.
goes to the Raiders. I don't think he goes
I hope
to the Raiders.
not. But the Colts are a team I would look at. I really would. If they might get desperate. They see that happen. They're like, we can't bring Phillip Rivers back again. We can't Anthony Richardson. You already wrote him off. Now you bring him back. So that's another team to watch out. If Kyler lingers around and the Colts lose out on Daniel Jones, that's another.
You think he's going to linger around? You don't think this deal is going to get done if it's not already done?
It depends on the structure of that name. They have the insight for it more than anybody beforehand. I'd wonder how much of that Achilles. It depends how much if he's going to be back, because he might not be back around for like maybe a couple weeks in. And if you're Shane Steichen, like he's going to rush back. But to really be at the field effects, to really know how you're back, to know fully you're back, it might be a week or two into the regular season. It might be. So that's what makes me think they don't want to get a 2-game in the hole. And then you saw what Anthony Richardson can do, which is oof.
I've been hearing that he should be fine for the regular season, so I'm kind of surprised at that news. That could change everything. If medically he's not cleared, that changes anything. And I think that would be the only reason Pittsburgh would be out, because medically he would not be cleared. I can't see a guy not being medically clear with all the things we got going on. And the fact that you can go to other countries and not be tested for stuff. That gets overlooked in a lot of athletes, nutritional, physical, like a lot of the things athletes are doing to stay healthy over time. The fact that you can go overseas and get treatments and it not be tested in the States helps their progression. You know what else helps our progression? Great shows, Chris. And that was a great show. I appreciate you, brother. That's it for this episode of Unparalleled Sports Talk. If you enjoyed the podcast, like the podcast, make sure you share, comment, do anything your podcast platform allows you to do. He's Chris Franklin. I'm Kwame. He's Chris Franklin. I'm Kwame Fisher Jones. Until next week, we appreciate your time here. You're busy.